Hello, I'm here. My microphone's on, everything else is on, and I'm feeling organised already. I'm feeling very, very organised. How are you, Lofty? How are you, Grand Romantic? I'm very glad to see you here. I gave you a little VIP badge to make sure that you knew that you were special to me. But I'm really glad to see you here. How are you two? How are things? I'm feeling pumped already. I wonder if I need to make my chair a little higher. There we go. I think... Chili? Your computer is not breaking today? That's good. I'm glad it's not. What's going on here? Ah, I see. Unfortunately, my headphones have a very long cable, but it likes to fall off. But I fixed it. We're all good. And now I'm going to do the thing where I test the quote-unquote gameplay and we see if it works. Let's have a look. Oh, that's lovely. I love it when it actually works. Let's get it in position, and then... Ta-da! It's the things I've been painting. There are 5 of them. This is what I've been... Oops. Little bit of falling over, but that's alright. This is what I've been doing for however long. I've been painting some little guys. This is for the past 3 streams I've been doing this. So I've gotten all of that good green going on, which I'm happy about. But now, we're not doing green anymore. We've moved past the... Society has moved past the need for green. And so instead, what we will be doing is we'll be painting white. But not just any white, because when you paint white in Warhammer, or any miniature, you do not start with white. Especially with black, you start with grey. You start with a nice shadow grey. And also a lighter grey. And then you go with white. That's what we're going to be doing today. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. So I'm going to put my music on and let's get started. Tell me if you can hear the sounds. I think it's a little bit quiet for this song. Let me boost it. Let's get it all switched on. Yeah, I can hear that. Good green, baby. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah. Music is on. Good synth. Let me know if the ratio of synth to me is okay as well, because I don't want to get drowned out by my own good music, which does happen on occasion. Also, sometimes this camera needs a bit of a kick up the rear, so let me know if it freezes or pauses or does anything like that. In fact, let me move my view to where I can see it. There we go, that's a better place to put it. You can hear the noises. Good stuff. Let's get this grey mixed up and let's turn it into some paint. I also made sure to actually do my nails this time, because for the past couple of streams I have not been doing that. And it's not necessary, but I prefer it when I do. What track is this? Do you know? I'm not actually sure, but this is the first track on this playlist, so I can tell you. Let me quick. Whoa! It is called Breaker B Movement 6 by Dubmood, which I'm going to put that into chat, I guess, but let me not by W, by Dubmood. Ah, The joys of having a mild speech impediment. Sometimes what I mean does not always translate to what I say. Yeah, I'll keep the playlist up so that I can see, because the problem is I'm running this through Streamlabs, and one moment I need to... I thought I was gonna sneeze, so I muted myself, but it didn't happen. It was also under the beeps and boops, in which case the beeps and boops need to go down if you can't hear me over them. No offense meant to the beeps and boops, but this is a me stream, not a beeps and boops stream. Let's get painting already. Oh, that's very watery. I need that to be a lot less watery. Let's get this going. It's been 10 minutes and just starting. Gotta use a bit of welly. It's not very good for a brush, but that's what happens when you got some real old paints. There we go. Now I should be able to just start adding a bit of the nice grey to it. I'm being beeped. Don't know who I'm being beeped by, but I'm just going to let it be. Put myself in focus a little better. There we go. So yeah, how are you guys doing? Yes, posture check is also a good one. I need to make sure I'm not hunching, because it's not good for me. There you go. Now you can see what I'm doing. You're sleepy, you accidentally pulled an all-nighter. I did wonder, because this is quite a weird time of day for you. It's like, what, it's about 7:30 for you, Gran? So I did wonder, but yes, I'm glad that you are here, but also if you need to sleep, then do so. Do not stick around for my sake, if that makes sense. You've been sitting in your bucket chair today. A bucket chair? Already, I don't know what that is, but the mental image is bad. That does not sound like a thing that should be a chair. Like, when I think of chairs, it should not have the word bucket appended to it. I'd be curious to see how this turns out. I'm not sure. My paints are a little bit dead for what I'm doing, but hopefully if I just build it up patiently, then I'll be able to do it, and that would be good. Love a bit of synthwave. I always say that. Every stream I say I love a bit of synthwave. It hasn't stopped being true. You stick around a bit. You do what you gotta do. But I appreciate you being here. I wonder how long this will take me to paint today. So I've got 3 hours to do all 5 of them. But let's see. Already he's gone from having a blackhead. Oh, yep, of course. I knew that was gonna happen. As soon as I tried to show anything, my camera was gonna do the thing. But I don't like it when it does it. Where's my little switch? There it is. I could feel it. It just wasn't correct. You've DM'd me a photo of your good and fancy chair. I see, I see. Right, let me do a bit of quickly fixing this. Deactivate, activate, on. There you go. We're back in action. But yeah, you got these two. And you see this one's already looking lighter, which is what we're going for. Anyway, I'm going to stop demonstrating that. And we're just going to keep going. Keep painting. Right, so we need to get a lot on the top here, because this is going to be hitting the light a lot. To see if I can't bloody headphones. I need to not move around too much because it's sending my headphones places. So that's that. Now let's do the gun head. Actually no. Let's do the have a look. Make sure I get these really emphasised and nice. On this upper row. So that will be where the light's hitting it. So let's see. Got the gun to do, I've got the loincloth. I think I'll do the loincloth just because it's another big flat area and that will work better for me. So let's see, we've got this loincloth down here and there's just a lot of expanse on this. Let's get me in position. There we go. Get it right up in there. So you've got a nice grey loincloth, and I need to do the backside as well, and I also need to get up in the top a little bit, although I need to not add too much there because it's in, you can see there's this little sort of crevice part which isn't going to catch too much light, so I need to make sure. I'm just trying to subtly show off the fact that I've had a haircut this morning, but this is actually in my face a little bit too much for painting, so I'm just going to quickly pull it back a little bit, and now I'm sorted. So yeah. Grand, I know that this is like, I don't remember how much I've talked to you about Warhammer, but if you have any questions about like anything that I'm doing, please feel free to ask. Alternatively, if you are here to simply vibe, then that is also fair and correct. Was lost in the headphones. Yes, the cans, the big cans on the side of my head. It's a tricky one. No questions. You just like my nail polish? I like my nail polish too. It's an Olay nail polish, but it's an Olay nail polish from back when they were still called Oil of Olay, which means I think it's probably at least 20 years old. But it still works, like it still works fine. As long as I give it enough time to cure, then it looks pretty nice and it is a little bit iridescent, which I appreciate. But that's, you know, me saying I appreciate iridescence is like, you know, water is wet level observation. Yeah, proper vintage nail polish, which is, like most paints, not actually a great idea because they do tend to go a bit funny. The Stream Accent colour, the Rambler colour, thank you. I thought about putting on, I have a nail polish which I'm particularly fond of called Forbidden Fruit by Chiate London, which I like because it shifts from red through to green, and it's got a really nice kind of beetleish quality to it, which I appreciate. But I figured it's tick it off for your Izzy stream bingo. Thanks. Yes, you are correct. I could ostensibly show you the colour of the Chiate London one, but it would involve reaching across my desk, and I don't know that I feel comfortable enough with my setup to do that. So perhaps another day you'll have to remind me. I almost thought about setting up a show my nail polish thing, but I don't know that I wear nail polish often enough to justify putting that into practice, if you know what I mean. Let's see if I can't build up some of these a little bit. Problem is, it's still drying, so I need to be a little bit more careful. Let's just go to the, oh, actually I'm going to add a little bit to this face as well, just to highlight it. Yeah, good stuff. Gun time! It's time for gun. Let's get this gun. Put these little orbies on it. Ooh. Flat on his face. How's that looking? It's fine. It survived. A little bit more water. Yeah. I'm trying to decide, like, to what extent miniatures painting helps with my ability to paint nail polish, and the answer is probably somewhere between yes and no, because nail polish brushes are actually a lot bigger than the brushes I'm using for this, but you do have to learn to be quite precise with nail polish. Though that being said as well, if anything, nail polish is a bit more forgiving than Warhammer, because Warhammer, you can really dink it up because there are some very fine details on it. So yes, it's I almost wondered, let's see, so I'm just putting my hands about, like, here-ish. Can I get my camera to... Ooh! Ooh, careful. Can I get it to look this way? So I can have it a little bit... let's see. Yeah, that's a little bit more comfortable for me. So I'm gonna tighten that, make sure it's secure and stable. Turn it around a little bit. Turn it back a little bit. So if I have it here, let's see. So that's where I'd have it to be comfortable. Hello, John. Hello, John. Oh no, I need you to kind of stay there while I do this. I need to gentle nudges. There we go. Stay. You gonna stay? Maybe a little bit. Trying to find my focal point. Oh! Nate Matthews, thank you for subscribing while I'm doing some really fiddly tech adjustments. Trying to make sure my camera doesn't fall over while I'm adjusting it. Yeah, I think that'll do, because then I can keep it kind of... Yeah, perfect. That'll do nicely. That'll do very nicely. I'm happy with my decisions. So how are you doing, Nate? gotta ask how you're doing, because you just gave me money to do all this silly business. It's nice. I'm very happy. I'm seeing all the people. I like it when I see the people. Trying to get in between these little things is quite tricky. It's rewarding. Go on this side and just catch the edges, and then that's looking good. A little bit more water. More water! I appreciate this. Have I seen a Michael Cthulhu thing where he dressed up as a Mini and got his daughter to paint his face as if he was a giant Mini after making a... No, I haven't, Lofty, but you are now obliged to share that in the Discord self-promotion opportunity, because I would like to see that. Oh yeah, for sure. The Eldari Artisans? I'm not sure how you say that. Artisans. I don't speak a language which has that symbol in its repertoire, so I do not know how to pronounce it really, after however many years on this earth. You shall have to join the Discord again. What, did you leave? Huh. Oh, I mean, you don't have to show me in the Discord. You can show me elsewhere. Yes, I had a feeling you'd done that, John, but that doesn't mean I still wouldn't want to take advantage of the fact that you've done that and try and pronounce it as it would actually be pronounced. The thing I have to remember is that people are not really going to see it from the underside, so the bottom half still needs paint, but not in the same sense, because like it can be much more like, you know, faffed, because no one's really going to be looking around that side. Let's see. Artisan. It is the trap vowel. I didn't know that. I think you can spell demon with that instead of just the E. But don't quote me on that. Let's see. So I've done the loincloth, I've done the gun head, I've done the head. Let's do some highlights. Do some cheeky little highlights on some cheeky little gun parts. Let's see. Just top of the gun here. Which will need some highlights. Actually, no, let's not do that line. That line isn't so necessary. I also need to do the end of his gun. What am I doing? Got to do the gun end as well. Yeah, That'll do. That'll do, lad. That'll do. Yeah, so we can go here. There we go. Yes, Philip Pullman's a big fan of using it for his Dark Material series. Back. Yeah. Just catching the light a little bit. It always takes me longer to start one of these and then the rest of them go by super quickly. But I think it is better to be careful than not. Demon is apparently for 16th century spelling. That makes sense. That does make a lot of sense. You know me, I'm a big fan of my archaic spellings, which is why I keep going around onto people's Elden Ring streams and going, hey, did you know that the word that you just pronounced as Gao is actually jail? Because it's oldie English. You know, jail. Spelt G-A-O-L. Jail. But I think it might be a very Cornish thing to know that, because we have a tourist destination that's quite popular here called Bodmin Jail, and I think they do spell it with a modern spelling, but the prison got decommissioned, but back when it was operational it would for sure have been called jail with a G-A-O-L. Oh, wait, no. Let me think. Actually, no, that might work. I'm trying to decide, I've got these pipes, and I'm trying to decide whether they should be with just black with grey highlights, or whether I should put some gold on them. I think I might just do them grey though, because I'd rather keep it. It's not necessarily in keeping with some other decisions I've made for other miniatures I've got, but I don't need to be consistent, you know? Oh no, I won't leave that. That I'll leave gold. That'll be fun. Oh, synth pop time. Just making sure you can still see what I'm doing. I love to be perceived. It does feel strange to be in the latter half of these streams now, because I'm 4 streams in. Oh? Ah, that makes sense, John. Thank you for the fun fact. That is a fun fact indeed. Learning phonetics is a strange old hobby. Yes, good opportunity to use the fun fact emote. It's made for moments just like these. Yeah, I'll do this. I'll give this a little bit of a highlight. Just around some places. There we go. Lush. Oh, going for a little Burton. So yeah, I think I'll start painting the head last, just because it's a bigger surface area, and I keep accidentally knocking these guys to the floor, which isn't great for their faces. So you don't learn unless you try. Okay. Actually, no, let me do it properly. That'll do. Lush. FaceTime! Face! Got to face the facts. In fact, I am facing the fun facts emote in my own stream. Which means I suppose now that we're onto a new figure, it's time for loincloth. There we go, let's see the loincloth in action. Oh, gotta be careful because the green parts are all already done and painted, so I now have the objective of trying not to touch them when I am painting over with new things. Almost sounds like Portal music, like Portal 2 music, but I know that it's not. You know what I mean, it's synthetic arpeggios kind of thing, a bit scratchy. I'm not a music person. Well, I'm a little bit, but not enough to know my words. The back. Ooh. Fun. I like it when a song just comes out of nowhere and makes me go, oh. It's so fun when you could just see my hand. It's a good view. Honestly amazed my camera hasn't crashed again, but I know better than to go, oh, it's not going to happen again. It will. Sometime again. What superpower would I most like? You know, I'm not sure. I'll have to think about it. This is me thinking about it. Well, I think. That is true, John. There is really nothing there's nothing good you can do while invisible. And in fact, I'm fairly certain that the Invisible Man movie, like, basically all of them are about this is for doing bad things. Like, that's a fairly explicitly stated goal. Honestly, I think I probably want something like, how do I put this? Not immortality, but some kind of invincibility. Not in terms of, I don't want to hurt anyone else, but the idea of being able to make it so that I cannot be hurt is quite tempting. I like the idea of being able to have something which would allow me to defend rather than attack. Oh god, it's this song again. Yeah, I mean, pain is important. I think it's more like, I'd still want to be able to feel pain, even if I feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot by saying that. But I don't like the idea of being able to be, like, I guess, killed. Getting deep and philosophical in the Wraithguard painting stream. A damper switch would be lovely, but John, unfortunately, technically, damper switches to pain do exist, but they're usually things like leprosy. That's what leprosy does, is it stops you from being able to feel pain. And that's why usually people with leprosy end up looking extremely disfigured in some way, because they've accidentally hurt themselves without realising that they had, because they couldn't feel it. That's not a fun fact. Don't use the fun fact emote for that. That's quite a fun fact. Well, that's quite a fact to have during this extremely cheery and chipper music, I have to say. Oh no! Bad camera! Bad! Move some things around. And pop. And off. And deactivate. And activate. Pop. On. And dip. You can do it. I believe in you. Why you like flight? There's no existential downside, assuming powers work as intended. Yeah, flight is a pretty good one. It is a classic. I suppose it's also, it gives you a sense of a new perspective, which is good. Pardon me. I had lunch before I started streaming to make sure I wouldn't be some kind of delirious hungry while I was streaming. I figured that wasn't a good call to be hungry while streaming. Me, oh! Caught it! Caught it in my lap. I suppose that's the only risk of having it so close to the edge of the table. Yes. Making sure I've got everything in its right place and position. There we go. So that's that. Let's get these nice edges in place. Sure that it's all coming together. Well, I'm not shaking my head, I'm just... I just got followed. I just got followed, which is good. I appreciate it. Followed on Twitter. I just need to... I'm gonna set this to do not disturb, because it is... There we go. Hopefully Mum doesn't need anything, because otherwise that'll be a bit embarrassing. Alrighty. Oh no, you're okay, Grant. I appreciate the follow back. It is I do appreciate it. That's my fault for not switching my phone off, or rather not setting it to do not disturb. Last time I did that though, I ended up missing a really important call from my mum, which not so good. I do like to actually stay abreast of what's happening. Yeah, no, it was a little bit silly on my part, because I should have expected the call, but did not. Thankfully, Mum was very understanding, which she, generally speaking, is. She's quite a reasonable person, and supports my hobbies even if she doesn't have a Twitch herself. I suggested making one for her, but I haven't done that yet. I'll see when I can do that. That'll be good. She's not really an internet person, which I think is probably for the best, because I think being on the internet as much as I have been has poisoned my mind. Which is, you know, it happens. We quickly pop back to this one because I have realised I forgot to do a thing back here. Forgot to do some of these pipes and details. These guys. Also, move it on the there. Yes, that'll do. Just a little touch. Oh, there's fluid coming out of this. How fun. I love it when fluid comes out. Alright, that's fine. I can work around it. Look at my arm! I love it when my arm is just directly in front of the camera. Let's see. See, I've done those things. Things I need to do. Oh, no, maybe not there. Anything else that needs touching up here? Oh yes, these guys. These guys are much more appropriate targets. Let's do this. Yeah, that'll do. Just a smidge. Let's see what I'm doing, which is a shame, but it's going alright. Now it is time to do the head. One of the challenges I'm trying to do for myself is, obviously we have, this thing is absolutely covered in raised bumps. And when I did them in the past, I used a, like, bright red over all of them, which sort of made sense, except I think they're kind of just more like raised bumps in general. Yes. Thank you for recognising my good grasp of the English language. But yeah, when I did them before, I did them in all red, but this time I wanted to try and like focus on making them stick out, but without just using a different colour. I wanted to complement the shapes of the materials and such to do that instead. See how it is going. It'd be cool to see how he's looking in. I'm worried that I'm taking just a touch too long with these, but hey Sally! Welcome! How was your, I'm assuming you've just got back from your thing. How was it? Sally was going on a trip to a museum, I believe. Let us grab the thingamabobs. By thingamabobs, I mean the top of this guy's head. And this time I will not drop him, he will not fall flat on his face, he will not undo all of the good work I just put into getting this guy's face looking passable. Cool, good. Gently place them over here. Start on another one. Ooh, that sounds very good, Sally. You just come straight from art to more art, debatably. Love that for you. But yeah, those do sound like some good exhibits. I like the normally I don't like changing stuff, but I do like the temporariness of exhibits. You get to go to one and you can only really relate to it with people who you went to it with, and it's kind of nice to have a weird shared experience like that. I went to an exhibit at the Welcome Collection in 2016, which is Welcome Collection is a museum, medical museum, and they had an exhibit on sleep and dreams and the ideas of consciousness and how our understanding of sleep kind of mucks with that a bit. I'm painting the loincloth. It was very interesting, and it was also somehow how I first learned of Césaire from the, was it the Cabinet of Dr. Cagliari? Let's see, your favourite pasting there was a photo based on the 1800s trend of mums taking photos of their children where they would hide themselves in the background, except the hidden artist was holding her dog in her version. That sounds really, yes, I am so hidden, you cannot see me. But except you can see my dog. That's very funny. It's like, you failed correctly. That's the correct way to fail at the thing you're trying to do. Right, back of the loincloth. Going. Oh yeah, Sally, Lofty Inclination asked earlier what superpowers everyone have. So I am forwarding that question to you. What superpower would you have? This is I probably shouldn't single out people in my chat like that, even if they are my mods, but I figured you might find that an interesting topic to play around with. Flight or teleportation? That was quick. That was quick, Sally. You have clearly already thought about this. Time manipulation, Grant. That is also a good one. Although I don't know whether my, the fact that I've seen the butterfly effect makes me go like, oh, time manipulation, scary. But, yeah, no, it's, being able to hop around and see, like, you know, dinosaurs. Does sound... If you do get time manipulation, can you take me with you? I want to see a Microraptor. Oh yeah, because you can lucid dream, can't you, Sally? That is a very cool thing. I figured out that you want the powers of the Click remote. Yes, because it went really well for Adam Sandler in Click the movie. I think you strike me as more responsible than Adam Sandler, so I trust you. I trust you specifically with the Click remote. I think it is doable. If there's one thing that can be said about well-spoken Rambler, it's that they believe in their friends' ability to not abuse time manipulation. Or only abuse it in funny ways. You're just built different, it's true. It's nice being able to figure out just how to, like, get through this faster and faster each time, because I'm getting more practice with it. funky happening. The funk, it's happening. We're doing it. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. I've been figuring out that I think how do I put this? I can lucid dream, but I can't control my lucid dreams. It tends to happen when I'm having a bit of an anxiety time, where I will have dreams, often about things that haven't happened yet, and that's what clues me into the fact that it's a dream. And I think what happens is I realise that it's a dream, but I get so annoyed about the fact that I'm dreaming an anxiety dream that it stops me from being able to alter it. I'm just like, oh my god, show me literally anything else other than this right now. And in the same way as thinking about the game makes you lose the game, sorry everyone, trying to bludgeon your brain into not thinking about anxiety just makes you more anxious as it happens. I feel more comfortable talking about it, but I just took you straight back to 2009. That meme is older than that, but yes, that is definitely a time. I hope someone clips that just so I can inflict the game and losing it upon anyone who attends my channel. If I'm sufficiently motivated and dickish enough, maybe I'll do it after the stream ends, if I remember. So, checking the time. The 35 past, no, 35 past, well, one would say 25 to, even. Yes, that's how timekeeping works. Yeah. It is a cool thing to be able to do though, Sally. I'm always very impressed when you tell me about it. One of the things I like about doing these streams is that the conversational topics, because all I'm doing is just painting, they can really go anywhere. Like, we could be talking about any old thing within reason and within Twitch's terms of service. Trying to make sure I get the edge of this gun, but without touching the hands, because the hands are already painted and they're looking very nice. Just got to make sure I keep it all under control. Honestly, those look pretty good. Touch those. Turn around. Touch it up a little bit here. Lush. Nice. Oh no, Gran, that sounds like a bad time. I get why it happens, like it's our way of our brains trying to process unpleasant information so that we can deal with it better, but when it gets to the point where it interrupts your ability to sleep, that's like, it's the worst and I hate it. Didn't used to happen as much, but as you can imagine, it's been happening a lot more in the past 2 years. Going on 3 years now. Oh, maybe just for 2 years. Don't want to completely lose my sense of time. Yeah. Let's have a look. It's looking pretty good. Yes. Ta-da! if I remove the paint from my brush a little bit, then I can just go over the top with this a little bit. Let's get this really dry brush. There we go. That's how you do it. Highlight the edges a little bit. Nice. I think that's it. In which case it is time for the head again. It is once again that time of day where the head must be painted. Oops. I didn't blue tack my surface down this time. Which might have been a mistake, but what can you do? Let's blue tack it now? What do you mean? No, nonsense. Can't be doing that. Yeah, that's good. Oh yeah. It's nice once you get into a flow with this stuff. It just makes it all go on a little bit better. Oh, we have entered the funky zone. I don't want to alarm anyone, but we have entered the funky zone. It's the zone where we get funky. Add a bit more. Get a little bit of extra here. Trying to keep it all in frame. It's getting hard. I think my camera's a little bit. What can I do about this? Maybe like there a little bit. Just trying to adjust my things a little bit. Is that going to stay in place? I hope so. Yeah, that should be fine. Just trying to. Thank you, Sally. That's exactly the vibe I'm going for. It's the combination of the cool spot snap and the banger emote. And if you too want a cool spot emote, then let's go check out Sally Miyake and Salmiakki and maybe give them a follow, and that would be good. And then you two can have cool spotty mote. I'm good at promoting my friends. I want people to appreciate all of you. Also, while I'm here, I don't know if he's still here, but you better believe that John's getting a shout out as well. He's been playing Elden Ring and he's good at it. I've been watching a lot of his Elden Ring streams recently. They are good content on a nice evening. Well, evening relative to me. Okay, I'm going to leave that alone now. Actually, no. Let's go a little bit here. See if I can't do something about this. Looking really dark. There we go. There we go, nicely does it. There we go, looking lots and lots better. I don't mind it being a little rough because, in my opinion, I like the fact that it adds a little bit of a almost pearlescence to it. Not quite actual pearlescence, but the sort of marble, that's the word I'm looking for, like a kind of marble quality to it. That's what I like to do. I like to have some marble to it. Loincloth time again, for the 4th time. There we go. Touch up these bits here. Make sure they're popping. There we go. I don't remember which one was the first one I painted. I think it's this one. Yeah. If I keep to a set order, then I should be able to do this a little better. Thank you very much for coming, Grand. I appreciate it. The fact that you pulled an all-nighter is a lot. But yes, have a good sleep, have a good day, and I'll speak to you soon. I haven't spoken to you in a while, and I feel bad about it. I'm one of those people who's always like, I'm an autistic person with a lot of autistic friends, and I sometimes do the thing where I'm like, no, I can't annoy people with my special interests. But like, considering that I'm autistic and all of my friends are autistic, we all have special interests, and I never get annoyed by other people's, so why do I always assume that other people are going to be annoyed by mine, you know? That being said, I don't tend to talk about all of them on stream just because I like to keep some things to myself, you know? That being said, this is totally a special interest of mine. Bye, Grand! Kiss goodbye. I tell you what, I was at the hairdresser this morning because obviously I've just gotten a haircut today, and it is very funny going and doing any kind of like social thing, even if it's not a proper social thing, because you know hairdressers are doing a job. It's always fun remembering and realizing that spending all your time indoors kind of does kill your ability to do social conversations. Not that I think it went badly or anything, just it is what it is. You just kind of, you're always like, oh, I could have said better, but what is done, and no harm comes of it. That, and it was at 8 o'clock in the morning, which is pretty early to have a hair appointment, but I didn't want to, I decided I'd rather get it done early so that I could start this stream at my usual time and not have to worry about making it back in time. I've got my priorities in check. Actually, let's go through this. Put this in here. It is always fun having this music and then having to insist to YouTube, but no, I do have the licensing rights to this song. I paid a subscription for it. It is always fun to just go like, here's a key, here's a key, here's another key. Get back in line. It's fun. The unparalleled power of being able to go, no, you. Yes, exactly, Sally. Exactly like that. Just like, pew, pew, pew. I love it when it gets real cheesy like this. It's fun. Classic Kevin MacLeod. Whenever I say Kevin MacLeod's name, I always have to mentally remind myself that I am in fact talking about the royalties music composer and not the presenter of Grand Designs on Channel 4, because their names are both pronounced Kevin MacLeod, but they spell them differently, and also they're different people. The things you must learn in this world, what can I say? Alright, that'll do on that. Let's get this tip painted. Yes. That seems to have done absolutely nothing. Let me actually get this going. Checking to make sure that my thing hasn't switched off again. Yeah, that's looking good. Put you back over there. I think what I'll be able to do, I don't know that I'll have time to completely paint the next layer onto all of these guys, although, you know, I will try. If I end up not being able to do it though, I will end up painting, because I've got this Shadow Grey and then I've got one called Space Wolves Grey, and I will see if I can paint all of the Space Wolves Grey onto all of these guys, but I have my doubts because it's already 2 o'clock and I've been going at this for an hour and a half. And I'm on the 4th model, got 1 more to paint. So yes, I'm being realistic about my time. So yeah, I'll probably paint the rest of those off stream into the Space Wolves, so that way next stream I can just go straight onto white, which is actually a good way of doing it, because white paint, you want, like, this is my water, you want clean water to paint white, because any other colour in your water will leach into your white and make it look really bad. That's my really Art 101 tip for you. It's like, have clean water when painting white. So yeah, I'll take that into account when I'm doing this next. Something like that. Head time! Time for head. Time for miniature character head. There we go. Nice thick colour. These baubles of mine. I'm going all quiet because I'm in the process. I think it's going well though. I'm happy with how it's looking. I think it's important with miniatures to try not to get too sucked into the perfectionism because they're very small and they have a lot of details and it can be very easy to lose yourself in that, which is fine if you're like professional and you're a Golden Demon winner. Context, Golden Demon awards are the awards that they give you if you're really, really good at painting, which I am not. But yes, you can get really, really into it. But I am not trying to get really, really, really into it. I am just trying to offer some light entertainment on a Friday afternoon on twitch.tv. Well, speaking of Golden Demon winners, I used to have a fun fact regarding that, but it is not really fun anymore, which is that the actor Ansel Elgort has won some Golden Demons where he is, because he was big. He's big into his Warhammer and he's painted some Space Wolves. But unfortunately, Ansel Elgort turns out to not be a very nice man, so that's a shame. Not because of the fun fact, just because I prefer it when people are nice and good and don't do bad things to other people. That's my real spicy take for you all. Stoking controversy on twitch.tv by saying people should treat each other well. Henry Cavill, also big on his Warhammer, and to my knowledge hasn't done anything. Obviously I will rescind this if he has, but yeah, he's big on his what is it, the Adeptus Custodes, who are like, they are a human faction and they are the guards of the personal guard of the Emperor, who is a superhuman man who got his butt kicked by one of his own sons and now lives in a chair as basically a skeleton man. That's the fourth one. Let's get the fifth one going. Yeah! Yes, he is. He is. What is he? He's late 30s, early 40s, something like that. Something like that. I forget. But yeah, he's big on his Warhammer. I think, especially given the current culture of TV and movies, like, you're gonna get a lot of nerds in there. The nerds won the culture war, so to speak. Which, back when I was a child, I was like, hell yeah, the nerds are gonna win the culture war. And now that I'm 27 years old, 38. Ah, nice. I had a moment of, like, what the hell isms when I realised that David Tennant had turned 50? I think he either... Hang on. I should know this. Maybe not... Let me think about this. Oh no, yeah, he for sure is 50. Okay. Sorry, I was trying to remember when his birthday was. Or when his birth year was, but yeah, he turned 50 last year, and he was someone who I used to have a special interest crush on, which I feel comfortable saying because I don't have it anymore, but that is a surefire way of really getting blindsided by the passage of time. Just being like, oh wow, yeah, that's time sure does happen, I guess. Yeah. I think a big cause of that, Sally, is that they are banking on it for the reason why they do not find much social success, and it's like, that's not the reason why. Like, one does have to work on one's interpersonal skills, speaking as someone who it doesn't come naturally to, and who had to work their butt off to learn how to talk to other people without alienating them. I'm still not always good at it. I admit this. I don't always get it, but I know that I'm not infallible. So you just you've got to try. You've got to try and meet people in the middle, and hope that they will do so too. But when you've built your identity around a sense of, like, isolated superiority, then it's not gonna go so well. It's easy to do, though, when you feel persecuted. Get these sides. That'll do. Oh, no, just a little bit more. There we go. Nice. Pardon me. Oh, see you in a second, Sally. Oh. Yeah, no worries. It's certainly different for you getting a phone call in the middle of a stream to me getting a phone call in the middle of this stream. You do what you gotta do. love to do a little cheeky glance at my setup just to make sure it is all still working. You know how these things can go. You know how these things can go. But yes, I'm glad that I was able to not have to start an hour later today. It's a good sense of just how divorced from like reality my brain is at the moment, because I was going like, oh yeah, I had to start an hour later yesterday, and I don't remember, or not yesterday, I had to start an hour later last week, and I do not remember why. It was something, there's some reason behind it, but I do not remember. It was a good reason though. I wouldn't have done that for no reason whatsoever. I think I was running behind with something. It's fun how your brain drops stuff though. Need more water. There we go. There we go. Nice. This almost sounds, it's got kind of a Final Fantasy sound to it. Speaking as someone who has not played a Final Fantasy game. But like the old Final Fantasies have that kind of good chiptunes. I'm not sure what this song is called now. I would have been able to tell you a while ago, but I've lost track of what song I'm on. And I can't see any now playing type things at the moment. Oh, camera! Oh, camera! Oh, camera! It's so good when camera. Oh, oh! I love it when I am adjusting camera and then camera decides to also try and fall over. It's like, please do not do that. Right, let's plug back in, and then Elgato, deactivate, activate, on. Deactivate, activate. Awesome. Oh, camera, you like to play little tricks on me. There we go. Now you can see me painting highlights onto things. Love it when highlights. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. stumbling. I'm stumbling. There we go. Oh, nice. Yes. Oh, I need to close this. I had still had the Elgato's interface on my screen, and it was a bad view, I tell you what. 'Cause I don't want to see the tech. I want to see my beautiful stream. That looks good. Let's get this going. There we go. Bit of the old dry brushing. I have to say, I know it's something of a faux pas to be thinking about, ooh, I'm excited for tomorrow's stream, but I am genuinely excited for tomorrow's stream because I'm playing a game I've never played before. Ever in my life. And it's not just it's not a game I've never playing ever before in my life, just in terms of like, oh, a game. It's also the first of its kind that I've played in my life. Baby's first Zelda. Which I hear is a very influential game. It changed the face of video game history or something. Generally speaking, I think the important thing is that it looks cute and plays well and doesn't make me go rah! There's a video game criteria by Rambler. Guns are fun. I haven't spoken about these guns really, but apparently these guys, so I've mentioned in previous streams that there is a, like, almost a space between, like, reality called the warp, which is like where the rules of physics and everything break down, and it's full of gods and demons and stuff. This gun is basically, it makes a portal to that realm, but it doesn't necessarily take into account the dimensions of the person you're shooting it at. So it will just kind of... You're looking forward to see how I like Ocarina of Time? Yes. I'm glad. I'm genuinely pretty psyched about it. Caused more strange liquids to fall out of the paint. How strange. Yeah, like, these guys just shoot a gun that teleports people into hell, pretty much. It doesn't always cleanly... Yes, reality warping guns that teleport its victims partially or wholly into hell. And by partially, I mean maybe parts of them will go to hell and parts of them will stay here. It's a grimdark gun for grimdark setting. Sounds very brutal but cool. Yeah, that's a good descriptor for a lot of the weapons in Warhammer. It's very brutal but very cool, but in like a really like silly way. So again, the Boltcaster, which is the classic Space Marine gun, is a gun that fires a small rocket, which then lands in someone and explodes. It doesn't explode upon contact; it lands inside someone and then explodes. There's also a gun which the orcs favour, which I believe teleports grots who are Warhammer 40,000's version of goblins into someone. Just teleport a goblin inside you. It's great. It's a great game. It's a great setting. Yes. Agreed. Ouch. The importance of having ridiculous over-the-top guns in your sci-fi setting cannot be overstated. Some more in there. There we go. A little bit on the top, and then this one is done. And I can move on to a new colour, which is nice. Oh shit! Just in time for disco. It's called I'm holding it in. I'm holding in the disco because I can't just start bouncing around every time I hear this song. Yes, I can. It's time for bouncing again. Alright. This colour's done. Put it over there. I'm done with it. Disco brush cleaning! Get to see that in all 1080p glory or whatever. Or 720. I don't know how these are being saved. Twitch is a fickle beast. It could be happening any which way. Double check. I'm just giving my brush a good old clean. I'm going to get a slightly messy thing, but these are replaced every week, so that's fine. That is okay, in my opinion. There that one goes. I've got just over an hour and 10 minutes left, thereabouts, so let's just start this. Let's get this Space Wolf spray going, and we'll see how far we get. And anything else I don't finish today with Space Wolf spray, I'll do off stream, so we can move on to the whites next week. And also, I've got it out. We've got the gems, and we've also got the golds. Colours! I love them. Love some colours. So right, let's get cracking. Paint! I love it when there's paint. And I can paint with it. Let's see how this one goes. I think this one's fairly good. Yeah, this one's turning into paint pretty well. It's always a game of necromancy with these paints that I've got. They are very old. Right, let's see what I can do with just a little bit of Space Wolf's Grave. Now I have to start thinking about where my lines are, so I can see there's a line here. Here. Something like that. It's not going to be perfect, but it's definitely looking a lot better. Do a little bit more to build it up, which tends to work better. Yeah, something like that. You just use it to go, hey look, this has actual like colour grading and stuff. Oh yeah, I need to do the back of the loincloth as well, that's also important. Yeah, a little bit of around the back as well. So I can try and choose where I want it to be more emphasised. Yeah, just kind of build it up like that. And you get something looking pretty good, in my opinion. Let's see how many of these I can get done. Teensy bit of water, but not too much. You can tell that these paints are quite old. bring it back. Yeah, you just gradually get the white on like this. See, I don't do the bottom just because you will hardly be able to see it. Do a little bit, but not too much. Just because you won't really be able to see it. Problem is I brushed too hard and then I accidentally scraped the paint off from underneath there, which is no good. Yeah, something like that will do. On the gun tip. It's funny, in this light it already looks grey, but it for sure isn't. No, it already looks white, but it is not. Yeah, just use it to get a little bit of the, I don't know that this is super visible, but you can get just a little bit of highlighting of the gun, but not too much. It's always about keeping it in proportion. A little bit here, not too much. Yeah, something like that. Need to do a bit of dry brushing now. A little bit because this is already. I don't want this pipe. I don't want this to be too light. It's just enough, just to catch some of the very edges of the pipes. Oh no, I put a finger on it, on the loincloth. How can this be? Let me fix that. No, I wonder when that happened. Just straight up didn't notice.
Please log in the information.
It's not a perfect fix, but it will do.
What is your
I can always go over it in some whites next week.
Your password has been accepted.
can start to get a sense of what I'm going for, right? I hope I can just touch my loincloth again. Well, I might have done a little bit. Let me do it another fix. I think that'll do, just for a little bit of extra something or other. Oh yeah, no worries, Sally. If you've got phone calls to take, you've got phone calls to take. What do you think of this though? Compare to what I just did earlier. Pops, doesn't it? This is only the, this is only another shade of grey. The white's gonna be even more. Nice to see them actually, like, take shape. Hey, you look away. Hell yeah. That's what I like to do. You turn around, you look back, and now he's all got grey on him. Right, so let's get some good loincloth colours going again. That only took me like 20 minutes, so who knows? We might actually get a fair amount of this done. Obviously not too much, but you know, we'll make some progress. Another little bit of something or other. And back. You can't see it from what I'm doing, but I'm following some, the lines I'm following are basically set into the sculpture of the thing itself, the model. That is why patterns seem to be emerging, because I'm following some ones that are already there. We just have some otherwise fairly blank imagery. Turns into this, because there's already lines which are there, and I appreciate that. Gently a bit more over here, very gently. Build up the strength of some of those highlights. Alright to me. That'll do. Let's get some baubles. Just making sure I haven't missed anything. So I'm deep in the focus now. Right. A little bit down here, but not too much. Oh no, not again. I had a feeling. I looked away. Turned itself off. Sorted! You didn't miss much, I've just been painting the underside of the gun. And paint the top side again. With more colouring. Better emphasis, etc. Yeah, that's looking right to me. I think so. Making sure my positioning is all okay. And then I get to do my favourite thing in the world again, which is the highlighting. I do like the highlighting, it is very fun. Oh, that's a little bit too much. Think about this. Start over here. Just blend it over. I tell you what I have been thinking about. but it's not going to be for a while yet, so I haven't said anything about it for a hot minute. But my birthday's going to be next month, and I'm trying to decide whether I want to do anything stream related for that, or whether I just want to do, you know, things that are not content. It's hard to say, really. I don't know what I want to do. Streaming could be fun, but it is also sort of work, but not actually my job. The distinction between jobs and monetizable hobbies. They are fun. And tricky. A little bit more on the gun. Not too much. Doesn't need it. Yeah, that'll do. Get real dry brushing on this bit. Oh yeah, that's fine. Had a brief worry that I brushed a bunch of paint off, but it's fine. Yeah, that's right. Here as well. This part's a little bit metallic, so I'll probably maybe off stream I'll give these guys a bit of black wash in some parts just to help the colours pop. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it happens. Tip. If anything, I'm pondering doing something a little off-piste once I finish this Wraithguard with the head and all of the nobbins and stuff. Yeah, I might switch over to a different thing, which actually I've already said it. I might switch over to doing the thing that requires the reds, because I think that might be a fun one to try and demonstrate on stream, although I don't know how visually clear it will be. It's worth having a go anyway. Well, maybe not the red bits, but there's also the gold bits, which might be fun to show how they go. Let me think about it while I finish painting. Yeah, I'll do the golds because the reds often go over the top of the golds on these kind of models, so that might be a decision which makes sense in context. Oh, touching the loincloth, don't touch the loincloth. Let's have a look. Let's do this thing up top. There we go, that's nice. That's going on very nicely. I'm happy with that. A little bit extra for the face. Just a little bit. Yeah. Nice. Nice. Good stuff. So yeah, I think that'll do in terms of the greys and stuff. I might see if I can't get my gold to work, because that will take barely any time at all, and I should be able to squeeze that out and then potentially squeeze out, how do I put it, a little bit of grey as well before the stream ends. So I just wanted to show you something a little different. Well, not that different, it's still lots of little highlighting type things. Highlighting exercises. Yeah, that should do it. This is my gold. It's very old. It's some old gold. And it's dripping everywhere. Good grief. I didn't realise how much, This is a little messy. Let's see if I can't do something about that. I'm going to BRB and replace my setup a little bit, because this gold is a little messier than I thought it was going to be. See you in a second. Camera still working? Yes, excellent. So that's what I get for my hoopers. Ooh, did I leave my gold over there? Yes, I did. One moment. How can I paint without my paint? You know? It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. So yeah, let's have a go with some of this gold paint. I have no idea how successful this is going to be, because this paint is very old and it tends to be a little bit finicky, but I'm going to have a go. I've got some places I can attempt to extract gold from. That should be okay. That part should be alright. Yeah. I've got a little bit of gold to work with. Yes, that'll do. It won't be perfect. The old drippy gold conundrum. Liquid gold and such. So yeah, there's a few areas on here which are... They are almost like a raised indentations on the gun, which I'd quite like to have pop out a bit more by painting them gold, as you do. Not a lot, but just a little bit here and there. how well this actually comes across, because it could be quite difficult to implement. Gotta really focus on this. Yes, I don't know if you can see that just on this side of the gun. I've added a little bit of a gold accentuation to it. Not a huge amount, but just a little bit, just to give it something to pop, you know? I don't want to have too much, because this is quite a I just want to have some gold parts to, especially because the gold parts also tend to be where the like the jewels and the precious stones go. So I try and accentuate those reds with some gold. That's the idea anyway. Worth it. It's worth it to try. Because it looks good at the end. I have to have played my cards right. Yeah. I've put a little bit on the gun and I've put a little bit around here where the spirit zone will go. It will show up better when I take some proper photos of it, I think. Yes. Is there anywhere else on here that needs... I don't think so, no. I think it's just that. Yeah. Let's move on to another guy. This is a lot, like... The highlights and stuff are already pretty precise, but it's even more so with this, just because of precisely how drippy the gold is. Trying to get it to form along the top of the surfaces I want it to, and not have it go on the surfaces I don't want it to. Easier said than done. I'm curious as to how this will turn out. Oh, a little bit over. Me. Get it to the end of my paintbrush. Don't want it coalescing too much further up, because when I press the paintbrush down, if it's coalesced further up, it will leak out more than I want it to. Keep it under control, and it should look pretty good, if I do say so myself. Yes. I like to add just a little bit of gold to these guys, because while most of their stuff isn't really made out of metal, it just gives them a little fanciness, which is fairly typical of these characters. They're fancy boys. So yeah. Oh, pardon me. Got a little bit of the old gold on the end. This isn't showing up very well here, but the problem is if I go there you can't see anything. I'll see if I can't share some nice photographs. That one I've already done, that one I've already done. Let's do this one, and then I'll move back to the other two. Let's have a little cheeky bit of the old goldiness. Bit of gold on there, and then a little bit towards the end. Oh, this one's going to be annoying because there's a seam line from where they cast the miniature. There's a seam line running across the top of the gem itself, so that's going to make trying to accentuate this line difficult. I probably should have filed that off before I started painting, but I'm not very good at that side of proceedings, so I didn't. That being said, I think I've managed to get it all right. Hello, Gren! I'm currently... I don't know if I can... Can I show this? Let's zoom in on what I'm doing. Oh yeah, you can see it actually. How's my camera doing? Let's... Oh. That's the only problem is my tripod is a little bit flimsy. Oh. Yes, a little bit of gold on the lads. And I've also been painting there. Are you going to stay upright? Yes, tentatively. If I shove you a little bit this way, will you stay upright? Oh, just trying to shine that light on that a little bit better. But yeah, there's this one and there's a couple of others that I've done as well, with the gold accents, but there's also, if I put this back, these guys who don't have the gold accents yet, but which I've given more light colour to the gun highlights and to the loincloth and to the head. Yes, let me put these guys away with their little bits of gold. I'm going to keep this like this while I'm painting the gold, I think. And actually maybe just to the end of the stream. I don't know that I want to spend too much time faffing around with my layout. This was the most recent one I did, wasn't it? Let's do this one because it will be a little bit more set. tricks out of my hat I can pull. Oh no, that didn't quite go so as I planned. There's a little bit of gold in a place, in a crevice that I can't reach. He matches the nails! Thank you! Thank you, I appreciate the comment. I appreciate the compliments. Let's do this better. Yeah, I think that'll do. Oh, it's got a little bit of assurance on it. Can I get that? It's quite hard to do with just your nail, I have to admit. Let's see if I can't go that way. If that's the corner it's meant to go. Don't think it's going to be perfect, this one. But I can live with that. How do I have to have this? That's where I should put it. With more paint on my brush. More paint on my brush, but I need it centered at the tip and not where it can go all smudgy wudgy. That's not ideal. Yes, that'll do for that. Yes, gonna work. Let's get some more. There we go. Got what? Just over 20 minutes left. We've got this. Might even be able to squeeze out another lighter grey one before I run out of time. Yes, a little bit of gold there. Just to make that gem have a bit of a boundary around it. And then I think the other guy needs a little bit of love. Let's do this. Let's see what I can do. Yeah. But yes, thank you for coming along, then. Thank you, Sally. Thank you, honestly, everyone who's been here today. There's been quite a few people. It's been nice. I've actually taken to, because I realised it was something that was giving, you know what it's like when you see something happening to other people and you're like, that's not going to happen to me because I know that it happened to other people and I'm going to be aware of it. But I was getting viewer count anxiety. But I found an ingenious solution to that, which is that I can hide how many viewers I have from myself. So I actually don't know how many people are watching right now, and it doesn't matter because I need to focus on the things that do matter, which are having a good time and having, you know, it is just, I've got to enjoy myself, I've got to do what I love. I think that's a better way of looking at life other than make number go up, which is the way I think Twitch wants people to look at it, but it's not, it should not be the be-all and end-all. This guy's gem is mostly obscured by his gun, so that kind of won't be, like, that's just how it's going to be. Shazam. But yes, I think that guy's done. Let's see if we can't, in the however many minutes we have left, let's wash my brush, and let's get another grey boy going. Make sure there's no gold on my brush, because gold on my brush will not go well with the grey. Give this an absolute ringing. Yes. Also, no worries, Sally. I know Sally's been having phone calls, and phone calls are hard to do when there is stream, so Sally needs to take those. And everyone else needs to behave while she's not here. I think that's it. I know, right? Like, why are we still having phone calls in the year 2022? I know that that's rich as someone who is literally live streaming their whole face and voice on the internet, but that's not the same. I'm doing this for silly reasons. Plus, like, you can see my face, you can see how I'm feeling thereabouts. It's a lot more open. Phone calls always just so you can't read anyone's tone properly. It's a pain in the butt. You have to do business on them? Good. Alright, let's get one more guy painted like this. And we'll see how it goes. I did wonder, I had a feeling we were going to have airport music. But yeah, we're doing it. We're making the thing happen, which I like. I'm going to make it happen over here too. I explained this to Sally earlier, but I'll explain it to you, Gwen. On the back of these, you can see there's kind of like shapes built into the back of the, or like cast into the fabric, and I'm trying to follow those lines as I'm lightening this up. Because it makes it look better to follow the lines that it has, rather than like just trying to make it up as I go along. Don't get me wrong, sometimes you can do that, but it's not always the best idea when it comes to fabrics. They try and give you a guideline, and sometimes it's okay to be a sheep. like that. Add a little bit of water. Add a little bit of water. Just gently add a little bit more to these edges. This will look a little bit nicer. A little bit of water, just because I need this to be a very gentle addition. Not too much force on this. Gentle brushes. Yeah, so like that. And you can do that, and it looks good. And then I can do the same thing to the gun. And that's fun. Fun with gun. Trying to do it evenly on both sides to gradually come down to here, and then I can turn around and do it here, and then I can kind of not worry about the bottom too because you can't really see them. But yes, I also do it to this thing because it sticks out a lot, and then I can just kind of add some stuff here, and that's good. And start working my way down the face of the gun. And then down the back of the gun as well. That's nice. So don't cover it up too much. Make sure you can still see what I'm doing. Now that the colour's differently, you can see that it's not a cape. Good. I remember that being a thing last time, but yeah, they are not a cape. They are just a loincloth. Not that the idea of a cape is not admirable, and there are definitely Eldar units who have capes. Don't get me wrong, there are for sure. They have a lot of robes, a lot of capes, a lot of like headdresses and ornamentation because they are space elves, and that's what you do when you are a space elf. You have a lot of drapery and ornamentation. But not these guys, I'm afraid. They are too busy being dead. A little bit extra coloration on the back of this. So it's a little bit lighter. They're dead? Oh yeah, these guys are dead. These are the deceased members of the race. Oh, maybe you weren't there for that bit. So basically these guys used to have an afterlife, or they used to get reincarnated, but then God started eating their souls, so now they all wear, like, you can see it now because I've highlighted it. There's a gem here, and that's designed to catch a person's soul when they die. It's just that in this person's case, they died previously, that's their gem, and it's been plugged into a robot so that they can get up and fight again. So this is a ghost bot. That's why I've been calling them ghost bots for fun. So yeah, that's their deal. They're ghost bots. Ghost bot elves. Elf ghost bots. Ghost footnotes. Indeed. Much to think about. What if ghosts were bots? Making sure I'm getting it all nice and good. Yes. Just adding a little bit more water. What I'm doing. It helps with the highlighting. Do a little bit more over here, especially on the dots here, especially here. This is not quite how I want it. That's better. And you can go across the top here and this bit. Do it around the back a bit as well. So yeah. Oh, I can do a little bit around the front as well. Let's do a little bit here. That's better. Doesn't have to be perfect, but oop, just a little bit better. Got a few minutes left. Let's see what I can do. I should have enough time just to get the head done. And these bits here. Let's get this very dry. Yeah, so just a little bit of highlighting on there, a little bit on there. I know that I'm not going to get all of these models done, but I'd already accepted that fact and have been just focusing on little bits. So yeah, that's alright. Now I just need to do the head and then I'm done. And I can do the other two bots in my own time. I've got time this evening or tomorrow morning. Or even Sunday if I'm feeling brave, but I don't know that I'm feeling that brave. So yes, let's have a go with this head. Let's get it done. Sort out a few things on my desktop. Do a little bit of sorting outing. Yes. Let's get these done. Make sure it's still looking good. Yes. dry brushing I'm doing to this. It's getting that way. It's getting dry brush adjacent, which I don't mind. A little bit across the top of the helmet, just to get this crest. This bit here, if you can see it, I'm just doing over here. So make sure it's all nice and sorted. Bit of extra attention on the face. Oh, I need to mute something. I have something going off in my ears right now, but we'll get to it in a moment. Honestly, I'm surprised that things have been running as well today as they have, because I was fully expecting them not to. Let's get a little bit more in there. Pardon me. That the microphone picks that up. Hopefully not. A little bit on here. Not too much. Just enough to say, hey, it's a little bit lighter. Just a little bit though. Just trying to get it to stay highlighted in the middle. That's the tricky part. Certainly not perfect, but I think for the time being it'll do. And I can oh no. Not directly on the face. Now I have to tidy it up again, and I don't have long left to do that. Yeah, close enough. I can fix it. I can fix it at a later stage. I think I'll show you the other two that are finished in this stage. That's them. That's the three of them. And then there's also, you know, this one and this one, which are not finished yet, so they can hide in the background. But yeah, that's it for now. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming and hanging out. Next week I shall be finishing off the white parts, so they will actually be white now. And I shall probably be doing the jewels as well. So I've just painted all that gold, which means I'll be able to paint the jewels. So that'll be fun. Let's see if I can't get my raids to work. I think that would be very nice for me if I could. But I do not have a huge amount of faith. It seems to have been Twitch as being a website at the moment, but I'm going to attempt anyway. Let's get my keyboard out and let's have a go with it. Let's see here. I'm trying the commands again because I believe in my powers of using the text command for once. Let's have a go of it. Oh, no, it doesn't want to do it through there, so we're going to do it through the dashboard, because that seems to be the way that I can get it to work. I don't know why it doesn't work through other means, but we're just going to have to deal with that. So, yes. We're going to be going and raiding Brian David Gilbert, and he is basically my spin instructor. It's a strange one, but yes. I'm going to go do that now. Tomorrow I'll be playing Ocarina of Time, and then I shall see you around. Goodbye!